Welcome back to the channel. My name's Tikki Nikki and I make Bless Unleashed content. So today we are going to be discussing the mechanics of Infernal Execution Grounds, or as I'll be referring to it for the rest of the video, IEG. IEG is a bi-weekly timed lair for 5 players who are at least level 40 with a gear score of 1516. Now, unlike other lairs like Chamber of the Ancient or Archon of Fire, IEG is unique in its difficulty. The first piece of advice I would give is to prepare to die a lot, at least until you get the mechanics down. Elfirkraag, if that's how it's pronounced, is a chunky boy who is as powerful as he is plump. So large is he that his stomps actually cause the ground to explode beneath the players in rapid succession, based on how many times he stomps. On top of that, he can summon fiery tornadoes as well as comets, but that's getting a little bit ahead. Firstly, Elfirkraag has about 70 million health and a wipe mechanic. When the match starts, he'll typically swipe with his front claws at the same time as his tail, damaging both the players in the front and behind him. After this, he does a stomp or two that will light the ground under every player and then immediately explode. This can be a single or double activation and is able to be avoided by simply walking, or if you're not comfortable with that, dodging. But please, for the love of Earphos, do not run or dodge towards another player. If possible, always choose to dodge where no one is, or backwards if you're unsure if there's someone next to you. The explosion triggers way too quickly to dodge if you roll onto another player's lighted space, or if they roll onto yours. After a set amount of damage, he will rear back and slam down, causing 2 ground explosions. Whenever he rears up, it's always followed by the players being marked as a great landing space for a fiery comet. You can tell this by the fire above the character, but more importantly by this little white icon that appears above your health bar. That icon is a timer before the comet falls. When you see it, run away from the center of the lair and as close to the walls as possible before the comet hits. It leaves a large area of fire that adds dots to players, and it can stack. I find it best to stay at the wall and then roll away right as the icon is about to disappear to minimize the amount of fire that's actually on the ground. Now, if you get a message saying you feel his gaze, run away from your party in a non-linear way, as Elfirkraag would start to fly up and begin shooting a group of fiery cyclones that spin towards you and separate as they get closer. If they hit you, they will push you back and leave a dot on you if it touches you. Now, once he hits about 75 health, he'll activate his wipe mechanic. When this happens, red circles will start appearing all over the ground where fiery rocks are going to start falling. Now, these rocks will knock down the player and do quite a bit of damage, so try to avoid them as best you can. I find it best to just kind of walk around and not dodge too much because you might roll right into where one's about to hit. Now, during this sequence, a message will prompt that's accompanied by a chime, and it will indicate that shields have spawned on the field. Now, getting those shields is the most important thing to do in order to survive his next move. But the best case scenario is you get all 5 shields, and by either all the players or even a single player can gather all 5 if they, have the time. But the worst case scenario would be to grab at least 3, as it still might be possible to survive. Every shield you gather lowers the amount of damage he does when he comes crashing down. Now, regardless, once you've collected the shields, everyone needs to huddle up and wait for Elfirkraag to dive bomb the party. If all 5 shields were gathered, all the players will survive. If at least 3 were, most players at this level should survive, but will take massive amounts of damage and they might potentially die. Another great strategy is to use the priest shield, as that will prevent a fatal blow. Now, during this fight, Elfirkraag will start foaming at the mouth with fire. This is a one-hit kill to anything but a tank and is easily avoidable if you know when to avoid. Sometimes he turns at the last minute and fires a breath which splits into 5 separate fireballs. Now, this move also has a chance to pull all the players in front of him prior to firing, where you'll have to mash the top buttons before you're able to actually dodge, like a quick time event. Now, at about 20% health, he'll initiate another dive bomb wipe mechanic move, but if you survive it, it's pretty much a cakewalk to finish him off. These are the primary moves that Elfirkraag uses, but once you know them, the battle becomes 1000% easier. Remember, if you're a Lion Ranger, try to stay back and make sure you keep Scarred on him as much as you can. Because during the parts where the players need to run around, or run to the walls, or just run in circles to avoid getting hit by the fire or the ground explosions, there may only be a couple seconds in which they can land a couple hits before needing to run again. So keeping up the Scarred onto him will maximize the amount of damage they output during those times, because of the amount of moves and the amount of explosions that he causes. And none of his moves are actually affected by distance. Once you've memorized the aforementioned mechanics, all you really got to do is run it a few times to get the timing right for when to dodge and when to attack. But that's about all you need to know to defeat the big fat dragon. Leave a like on this video if it helped you out. Check out my other videos on the channel, and if nothing else, you have a blessed day.